The siren didn't scream. It clicked on with a single blue flash, cold and surgical, as if the light itself could question a life. 16-year-old Jamal Williams slowed his bike near the curb. The Texas sun bore down on the clean streets of North Dallas, where driveways were wider than some entire neighborhoods and lawns were manicured like museum pieces. Jamal didn't belong here. At least, that's what the world around him was trying to say. He was wearing a faded hoodie, his jeans patched at the knees. The backpack over his shoulders was heavy, not just from what it carried, but from what it represented. Inside was a boxed bionic arm, a prosthetic he'd finally managed to buy for his little brother Justin, born without a left forearm. Jamal had worked for months, washing cars, unloading trucks at dawn, scraping change off gas station floors, just to buy a future. He hadn't noticed the cruiser at first, but it saw him. "Off the bike, now!" a voice barked through the car's loudspeaker. Jamal jerked to a stop. A patrol car idled 10 feet away. A white cop in mirrored aviators, mid-40s, stepped out slowly. His name tag read, HARRIS, the kind of officer whose stare felt like a locked door. He didn't ask questions. He gave orders. "Put the backpack on the ground. Step back." Jamal's heart slammed against his ribs. For a moment, he thought about asking why. Then he remembered. He didn't have that luxury. Not here. Not like this. He placed the backpack down. His hands were trembling. "What's in the bag?" Harris asked, stepping closer, fingers near his holster. It's a prosthetic for my brother," Jamal said quickly, trying to steady his voice. "I ordered it from a nonprofit." But Harris didn't wait. He bent down, unzipped the backpack, and pulled out the carefully wrapped box. The medical logo on the packaging didn't slow him. He peeled it open, then held it up like evidence. "This some kind of decoy?" His voice dripped with suspicion. "What is this, stolen, modified tech, drugs?" "No," Jamal whispered, louder this time. "So I paid for it. It's for my little brother. His name is Justin. He's 9. Born without a hand. I raised the money online. There's proof. Letters, receipts." But Harris had already pressed the radio on his shoulder. "Unit 12 requesting backup. Possible suspect in possession of suspicious package. Male, black, 16. Wearing a gray hoodie. Northbound side of Belmont Avenue." Jamal's stomach dropped. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He just stood there, hands open by his sides, while Harris walked behind him and forced him to face the squad car. Cold metal kissed his forehead. Jamal's body froze. People were watching now. A woman in yoga pants paused mid-jog. A man mowing his lawn shut off the motor. A kid on a scooter stopped and stared. But no one moved. No one helped. The image was too familiar, too easy to ignore. Jamal could hear the sirens growing louder. Behind his closed eyelids, he imagined Justin smiling. That moment when he'd open the box. How his small hand would grip the carbon fiber fingers. He imagined what it would feel like to hand him a future, only to have that moment stolen, just because he pedaled through the wrong zip code. He'd followed every rule, but none of it mattered. To them, he was a threat, a body in the wrong place, a narrative waiting to be written. And today, the pen was in Harris's hands. The second patrol car arrived fast, sirens off but tension blaring. It screeched to a halt just behind Harris's cruiser. 2 officers stepped out, one young, barely older than Jamal, the other with a clipboard and a body cam already blinking red. Neither made eye contact with Jamal. That was worse than any threat. Jamal stood frozen, palms open at his sides, the sun baking his neck. Sweat soaked through his hoodie. His backpack still lay in the gutter, half unzipped, the prosthetic box poking out like contraband. "What's the situation?" asked Officer Delgado, the younger one, glancing at Harris. "Suspicious male, uncooperative," Harris said curtly. "Possible smuggling of something disguised as medical equipment. You'll want to test the contents." Jamal's jaw clenched. "I'm not uncooperative," he said, voice low. "You never asked me to cooperate." Delgado blinked, slightly taken aback, but said nothing. He stepped forward, carefully picked up the box, and set it on the hood of the car. His partner pulled out a field scanner, a handheld device that buzzed and glowed as it passed over the object. Non-organic polymers, medical-grade plastics, lithium battery inside, the scanner beeped. "Could still be a cover," Harris muttered. "It's a prosthetic arm," Jamal repeated, louder now, his voice cracking. "For my little brother. I raised the money online. There's paperwork in the bag, a letter, donation records." "Let's see it," Delgado said more softly. Jamal nodded toward the bag. Delgado unzipped the rest carefully and pulled out a stack of printed pages. The first sheet had a GoFundMe logo. Under it, "Help Justin hug with both arms." The officer's eyes flicked over the paragraphs, the donor names, the messages. "You're amazing, Jamal. Bless your heart. Stay strong, little man." Then came a letter, printed on official letterhead from the Texas Limb Initiative, signed by a doctor, Marquez. The last line: "We are honored to support Jamal Williams and his family. His efforts on behalf of his younger brother represent the very best of our community." Delgado glanced up. His lips parted, but no words came out. "I told you," Jamal said quietly, "but you didn't listen." Harris's mouth twitched. He wasn't angry. He was irritated. Irritated that the story wasn't matching the narrative he was used to enforcing. "Chai, you think just because there's paper, it makes it true," he snapped. Delgado opened his mouth to protest, but Harris raised a hand. "Kids know how to fake documents these days. Photoshop. AI, all of it." "That's enough," came a voice from the sidewalk. Everyone turned. A woman in scrubs, mid-30s, brown skin, fierce eyes, had stepped forward, phone still recording. "I've been standing here for 10 minutes. I saw the whole thing. He didn't resist. He didn't run. He answered everything calmly. And now you're trying to justify a stop you had no basis for." "Ma'am, please stand back," Harris began. "Don't ma'am me," she said, stepping closer. "That boy goes to my school. I'm the nurse there. Jamal Williams is the most responsible kid I know. He cleans cafeteria trays just to earn lunch credits. He reads to special needs students during his free periods. You should be thanking him, not searching him." Delgado looked at Harris. "Maybe we should—" "I said stand down." Harris cut him off. Tension tightened the air. More people were gathering now. Neighbors stepping out of their homes, joggers slowing down, a UPS driver pulling over. Phones were out, recording, watching. The quiet hum of a crowd that smelled injustice and refused to look away. Harris noticed, his jaw locked. "Fine," he barked. "We'll verify everything at the station." Jamal stiffened. "Station? You're not under arrest, but we need to verify." "You already have verification," the nurse snapped. "He's carrying proof. You're going to drag a child in because he, what? Rode his bike while black? That's enough, Harris barked, stepping forward. No, Jamal said suddenly, stepping back. His voice was trembling but steady. That's enough. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't steal anything. I didn't break any law. I work 2 jobs. I take care of my brother. I did everything right. Silence. And then, click. A 4th officer had arrived. Older, white hair, bars on his collar, Lieutenant Arnett. What's going on here? He asked coolly. Harris stiffened. Possible illegal delivery. Unconfirmed medical equipment? Lieutenant, Delgado interjected, stepping forward with the paperwork. He's telling the truth. We verified the documents. The name on the box matches a registered medical nonprofit. No criminal history, no red flags. We're good. Arnett took the papers, scanning them briefly. He looked at the boy, at the box, at the watching crowd. Then he turned to Harris. Return his bag. Let him go. Harris's face flushed a dangerous red. Sir, that's an order. A moment passed. Harris reached for the backpack, zipped it shut with unnecessary force, and shoved it toward Jamal. Go, he said through clenched teeth. Next time, stay where you belong. Jamal caught the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and turned away. But something stopped him. Something cold and sharp and honest. He turned back. You looked at me and saw a criminal, he said, locking eyes with Harris. Not a brother. Not a student. Not a kid. Another beat of silence. A phone nearby buzzed. A car passed. Somewhere, a sprinkler clicked on. I hope someday your son gets stopped for doing everything right, Jamal said. And I hope someone looks at him the way you looked at me. Maybe then you'll understand. Then he turned and walked, not fast, not scared, but steady, controlled. His shoes struck the pavement like punctuation. Someone began clapping, then another. Within seconds, half the block was applauding. The nurse stepped forward and walked with him. That night, the video hit TikTok. It began with Jamal's face pressed to the hood, hands shaking, and ended with his quiet monologue to Officer Harris. By morning, it had over 2.3 million views. Justice for Jamal. Bike while black. Let him build, CNN picked it up. NBC aired it during the morning segment. Local news showed the footage with dramatic music and cuts between Jamal's voice and Harris's expression. The internet had found its new face of dignity under pressure. But Jamal wasn't watching. He was home, in the tiny apartment he shared with his mom and Justin, feeding his little brother slices of apple and unboxing the prosthetic arm like it was made of gold. Justin grinned, toothy and proud. Does this mean I can ride bikes with you now? Jamal smiled, eyes glassy. Soon. You'll be faster than me. Then the doorbell rang. It was the school principal. Behind her stood a man in a suit and wire-frame glasses. This is Mr. Lerman, the principal said. He's from California, a tech startup. He flew in this morning. Jamal blinked. Why? Lerman stepped forward, smiling. Because I saw what you did, and I don't believe talent should be buried under uniforms or zip codes. We'd like to offer you a summer internship, remote, paid. Jamal's mouth opened, then closed. And one more thing, the principal added. The school board voted this morning. We're starting a leadership scholarship fund. In your name. Justin gasped. You got a fund? Jamal laughed, stunned. I guess I do. Outside, a car pulled up. It was a city vehicle. The mayor stepped out, shaking hands, speaking to the cameras. There was going to be a press conference. They wanted Jamal to speak. He changed into the only formal thing he owned, a church shirt and a tie 2 inches too short. His mom wiped down his collar. Justin beamed like he was looking at a superhero. At City Hall, Jamal stepped onto the podium. His knees trembled. His voice cracked. But then he spoke. I was stopped for riding a bike, he began. But that's not why I'm standing here today. He looked out at the crowd, at cameras, officers, teachers, neighbors. I'm here because I didn't run, because I didn't fight back the way they expected, because I knew the truth would catch up, if not today, then tomorrow. He paused. But not everyone gets that tomorrow. Not everyone gets to walk away. So if I'm here, if I have this mic, I'll speak for all the people who never got past that stop. Then he lifted the backpack, pulled out the prosthetic, held it up for everyone to see. This, he said, was called suspicious. But this is what love looks like. This is what sacrifice looks like. I carried a future on my back, and it almost cost me mine. A hush fell over the plaza, then thunderous applause, and somewhere, in the back row, Officer Harris sat alone, watching, silent. His badge clipped to his belt, his hands folded tight. He didn't speak, because the city was no longer listening to him. They were listening to Jamal. The morning after the press conference, Jamal's phone didn't stop buzzing. There were messages from reporters, emails from nonprofit directors, interview requests from YouTube channels with millions of followers. But Jamal ignored most of it. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his hands. His palms still felt the weight of that backpack, the tension of that day still lingering in his bones. Across the room, Justin flexed his new bionic arm, clumsily trying to hold a spoon. He laughed every time it slipped from his fingers, and Jamal couldn't help but smile. That laugh was the only reward he'd ever wanted. Still, something gnawed at him. Something unfinished. Later that day, a knock came at the apartment door. It wasn't media. It wasn't a fan. It was Lieutenant Arnett, the senior officer who had overruled Harris. He didn't come alone. With him stood a woman in a gray blazer, internal affairs. Behind them, a camera crew from City Hall. We're conducting a review, Arnett said calmly. And there's something you should see. They invited Jamal to ride with them, downtown to a private chamber at the police department. A screen was already set up. What played next was body cam footage from Officer Harris. It showed the moment he spotted Jamal, the aggressive stop, the unnecessary call for backup, his dismissive tone, his refusal to read the documents, even as another officer offered to verify them. Every word Jamal remembered was there, recorded, time-stamped, documented. Then it cut to Harris muttering under his breath as Jamal walked away. Should have cuffed him. Cocky little punk. These people always have an angle. The room went silent. Jamal felt the heat crawl up his neck, but not from shame, from clarity, from truth, finally cutting through the fog. The woman in the blazer turned to him. We've recommended disciplinary action, but that's not all. She handed him a thin folder. Based on your conduct, your composure, and the public response, we're proposing something unprecedented. Jamal opened it. Inside, a certificate. City of Dallas Youth Civil Rights Ambassador. Beneath it, a second page. an offer to speak at the state legislature's upcoming session on policing reform. Jamal stared at it. Me? You turned pressure into purpose, Arnett said. You made a moment that might have broken someone else into a platform. That matters. That night, Jamal stood in front of his mirror. He didn't recognize the boy staring back. This version of him wore a button-down shirt that actually fit, gifted by a local designer. His hair was lined up tight. His eyes were clear. Not because he had all the answers, but because for once, he wasn't doubting himself. Justin peeked into the room. You nervous? Jamal exhaled. A little. You gonna tell them about the bike? Jamal nodded. And about Harris? Another pause. Then, not just about him, about all the people like him, and all the people like us. Justin grinned, walked over, and gently bumped his metal fist against Jamal's shoulder. Then you'll be fine. 2 days later, in the grand marble chamber of the Texas state capitol, Jamal walked to the podium. Legislators in suits turned in their chairs. Some looked curious, some indifferent, a few skeptical. Jamal looked small up there, a 16-year-old with no political power, no legal degree, no microphone except the one wired into the lectern. He cleared his throat. My name is Jamal Williams, and I'm here because a police officer saw a backpack and assumed the worst. Murmurs rippled. He didn't see my brother's name on the box. He didn't see the months I spent working minimum wage. He didn't see the kindness of the donors who helped me. He saw one thing, and made a decision. He paused. And I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here to ask, what happens when the system teaches someone that's okay? What happens when the people meant to protect us see our skin before they see our story? Some heads bowed, others stiffened. I don't want revenge. I want reform. I want better training. I want every officer who pulls a kid over to think, just for a second, what if that were my son? Silence. You don't need to be a lawyer to know what justice looks like. You don't need a badge to know what humanity feels like. Sometimes, all you need is a backpack, a prosthetic, and a reason to care. He stepped back. The room stayed quiet for a heartbeat. Then, applause. Some hesitant, some loud. A few standing. But for Jamal, the only thing that mattered was the message had landed. It had entered the room. Weeks passed. The video of his testimony went viral again. His school renamed the library hallway the Jamal Williams Leadership Wing. A mural appeared overnight, spray-painted on the side of a city building. Jamal on a bike, Justin on his shoulders, the prosthetic arm raised high like a torch. The caption, "They tried to stop the future. He carried it anyway." Officer Harris was suspended, then quietly removed from the force, not because of vengeance, because of accountability. May 12th, 3 months later. The Dallas mayor stood before a crowd on the steps of City Hall. When we declare this day, Jamal Williams Day. Cameras flashed, students cheered, teachers cried. Jamal stood center stage, holding Justin's hand. He stepped forward with the same backpack slung over his shoulder. He lifted the prosthetic box, clean, bright, untorn. "This box got me profiled," he said. "It also got my brother a future, and got me a voice." He looked out at the crowd. "I was told I should be afraid, but I choose to build. I choose to speak. I choose to carry." The crowd rose, standing ovation. Somewhere in the back, a man stood silently. Lieutenant Arnett, arms crossed. watching with the quiet pride of someone who had chosen, in one moment, to listen. As the sun dipped low over the city skyline, Jamal and Justin rode their bikes side by side down a quiet street, this time with no sirens, no suspicion, only wind and wheels and light. And for the first time in a long time, Jamal wasn't looking over his shoulder. He was looking ahead, to whatever came next.